Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of the Marketing Your Practice podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the three kinds of videos that you should be making if you're an introvert. So, if by now you don't know that you should be making videos, well, let me say it again. You need to be making videos. There's nothing that will help you and your practice and your studio build more authority, more expertise, build more goodwill in your community than video. But I get it, and I hear from many of you each and every week telling me you love the idea of making video, but you hate yourself on camera, you feel nervous, you find yourself stumbling in what should be a 3-minute video. I got a message from someone the other day, and he said it took him nearly 2 hours to shoot a 5-minute video. Now that sounds familiar, then you're not alone. I've been there too. I've been making videos now for a long time, 15 years, but really consistently for the last 10 years. And there's been many a video that it's taken me way longer to shoot than it ought to. Now we complicate it. In today's episode, I'm going to show you 3 kinds of videos that kind of mean you don't need to be on camera at all. So if that's the thing that you're scared about, I'll help you deal with all of that. Before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about our sponsor for this show. Now, the sponsor for this show is me. Isn't it kind of funny when you're watching a podcast or listening to a podcast and they talk about their sponsor and it's kind of them sponsoring? I guess you're allowed to do that. If it's your show, you can choose who sponsors the show. But really, what I want to tell you about is this guide, checklist. I like to call it the ultimate kind of video making guide. It's called Attraction. I've kind of given you a bit of a preview on my socials over the last couple of weeks. If you struggle with coming up with content, some of you, thank goodness, are starting to produce more videos now. And now I'm getting feedback saying, what do I make my videos about, Angus? Well, here, Attraction, this little book through here is full of 100 different video making ideas. I've broken it down. There are 20 templates in there from, we talk about things like interviews to breaking news to holiday themed, all those kind of things there. And inside those 20 templates, I then go through the building blocks that we should be talking about, how we might relate kind of food, stress, sleep, all those kind of things, and then even kind of profession specific. So whether you're a Pilates studio, a yoga instructor, a chiropractor, how we link all those together. The end result of all of that is 100 patient attracting video ideas that will help you build goodwill, expertise and authority in your community, okay? You can get a hold of that by going to adiomedia.com/attraction. There it is, you can see it. And if you're listening, I'll make sure I have some notes in the show notes that you can kind of click on that as well. I'm going to talk about kind of 3 ideas that are inside this today, particularly for those of you that are introverts out there. So by the end of this episode, you'll have 3 really great kinds of videos that you can be making that will help you and your community build more authority and expertise. Remember, I say this all the time, the more people in your community who know you, like you, and trust you, the busier and more predictable your practice will be. So again, it's not a matter of if you should be making videos, you definitely should. It's a matter of how you go about it and make it the least painful way possible. Now, one of the misunderstandings about video is that in order for me to make video, I need to be on the video. And the truth of the matter is you don't need to at all. So one of the first kinds of videos I want to talk with you about is really often referred to as a screen flow video. So let's imagine that you wanted to share some really great advice in around organic foods, what to look for, what not to look for. Man, that was a stumble. But I know with organic foods, often there are lists of, these are the kind of ones that are really essential to get organic, and these ones aren't, quite as important. But anyway, you're the expert on organic foods, not me. But that's what you're going to share. So what I would suggest that you do first of all is that if you're a Mac user, you'll do up a keynote presentation. If you're a PC user, then you'll do a PowerPoint presentation. You would hit through the key points where you'd go through the introduction. Remember, the introduction of all our videos basically is telling the person what we're going to tell them. Hey, in today's short video, I'm going to be talking to you about organic foods, what foods you must get organic, and what ones are okay if you don't get organic. Then simply you would create a nice little PowerPoint or keynote slide there where you went through each of the 5, 10 foods that should be purchased organically, tell the people why, what they can do to improve the quality of the foods that aren't organic. And all of this you go through just a keynote or a PowerPoint. They don't need to see your face, they can hear your voice. You could be doing this at home in your pajamas. If you're in ISO, notice now too, I've gone full ISO for this video here. I've actually got a hoodie on, and you can't see underneath here. I've actually even got my tracky pants on also. That's irrelevant. But you could do all of this without having to be on video at all. So there are recording programs like Camtasia is one that I love. If you're a Mac user, I love ScreenFlow. But they're also free screen recording software. In fact, on the Mac, you can even record all of this by just using Keynote. So you don't have to be on camera at all. It can take multiple takes. You can do it in small little sections here. You could write out all of your notes beforehand and literally read word for word. For many people, this style of ScreenFlow, Keynote, or PowerPoint video is a great place for them to start because it helps you build real confidence. So this is the first style of video that I want you to think about making if you're an introvert. The second type of video that you can do, again, is a video where you don't need to be in it at all. Let's just say that you're a chiropractor and you wanted to share your 3 favorite posture exercises. You're going to go through, what we often refer to as kind of Y's, T's and L's, forward head posture type sort of stuff. Again, you chiropractors out there know the type of exercises that you want to share. First step, all you've got to do is get one of your staff members, get a friend, get your husband, your wife, get a stranger off the street, I don't mind who, but show them how to do these exercises, okay? Then get your phone out, video them doing those exercises. Then afterwards, import it back into your favorite editing software. Again, ScreenFlow, Camtasia, those ones I talked about before. This will also help you do this. And then all you need to do is narrate over the top, give people some fine tuning of what they need to watch out for, what parts of the exercise are really important to do very specifically, how often they should do it, all of those kind of things. Again, this style of video now means you don't need to be on video at all. Again, it's just your voice narrating over the top of it. Now, I've made many of these types of videos in the past, and often it's not only is a great way for you to make videos if you're an introvert, it's just a great way to do this exercise style of video. So I made one recently going through some glute exercises. I took Mackenzie, my daughter, out into the driveway. She went through the glute exercises. I know where people tend to make some mistakes, so I make sure I kind of got some footage of her putting her knees in the wrong spot, how to correct that. And then I imported it back in there and I just spoke over the top of it. Not once did you see my face on the video. So the second type of video that you introverts out there can be making, if you don't want to be on camera, are these great exercise videos. Again, film the footage and then just narrate over the top of it. The third type of video that I see often, I watched this Sunny Lenarduzzi. She's a YouTuber, and I watched recently, she made this great video. It was a little motivational one that was really all about us pushing outside of our comfort zone. Now, what she'd done is she's written out about a 90-second script, so it's not a long video. Remember, at the moment, the types of videos that are getting the most engagement, the most reach, and the most number of watches are actually videos that are under that 2-minute mark. So Sunny would have written out a 2-minute script. She might have typed it out, and then she would have read that out into her microphone, maybe even just the microphone on her computer. The microphones on our computer are pretty good if you're in a nice, quiet, silent area there, that there's no kind of noisy fans, those kind of things. So she started off, she would have read that out there, and then what she did is she put in a whole bunch of B-roll. So these were types of video footage that kind of matched what she was saying. They were lovely kind of beach scenes, people driving down the road through these beautiful kind of mountainous forests. They were inspirational types of footage. Now, this type of B-roll you can get in many different places. The spot that I love to use is called Artlist. But if you do a search on the internet for free B-roll, it's that cinematic type sort of footage that's kind of inspiring and matches the theme of what you're talking about. So in this 90-second video here, Sunny wasn't on the video at all. It was her talking and narrating over the top of it. Again, she could have done that sitting in her pajamas any time of the day or night. And again, she could have done this in 5 or 10 or 15 different takes. We couldn't see because she wasn't on the video. And then she just matched it with some footage in the background that made sense. So maybe you're wanting to share an inspirational or a powerful message with your community at the moment about the importance of health, the changes that are going on, the different steps that they could be taking to eat better, move more, rest more. You could have lovely cinematic footage in the background of people exercising in the park, eating beautiful foods, resting, meditating, all of those kind of things. This type of footage we call B-roll, okay, added in there too. And And it's the third type of video that if you're an introvert that I want you making. Let me sum those up again. If you're an introvert and you don't want to be on camera, I totally get it. You don't need to be on the actual video itself for you to get great value out of your videos. The first type of video that you should be making should be you just recording your voice over the top of a Keynote and or PowerPoint, depending on whether you're a Mac or a PC user. The second type works really great when you're doing a demonstration of something. You don't even have to be doing the demonstration. Find somebody who knows how to do the exercise or whatever you're wanting to share with your audience. Record them doing it. Then again, just voice over the top of it. Takes all the pressure away of you having to have your face on the camera or have to do it in one little tilt, one go. I think you know what I mean. The third type of video that I want you making is one of these ones that work really beautifully with cinematic B-roll. Write out the script of the message that you want to share. Do a search online for free B-roll. So that's B for Bermuda. Roll, R-O-L-L. Do a search for that and you'll find lots of lovely clips that will match kind of what you're talking about. Now, with regards to all of that too, I'm going to also have a chat to you introverts while you're on here now. Some of you are introverts. Many of us have an element of introvert. I'm not sure that someone is purely introvert or extrovert. In fact, the research would show that we kind of have both those traits in there. Some of the times we hide behind the introvert thing. I know I've done it lots of time, when in actual fact, what I'm really doing is I'm just a little bit scared of being seen. Now, if you're scared of being seen, then I want to remind you, I'm a big Brené Brown fan. I'm not sure whether I've spoken about this on the podcast or not beforehand, but I've been talking about a lot of my other trainings anyway. On Brené's very first podcast that she shared, and I'll link to that in the show notes as well, she was talking about some of the difficulties that she was having at that current time, which was getting everything together for a podcast. And at the same time, they were in the first weeks of lockdown because of COVID-19. And she was feeling anxious and overwhelmed. And if those of you who don't know who Brené Brown is, she's one of the world's leading authorities on courage, on shame, on vulnerability. So I figure if Brené Brown is having a hard time being courageous, then what hope do we have? But she talked a lot in there. She said she has a little 3-step process that she talks about at helping her get through these difficult times. So again, if you're listening to this with your kids in the car, it might be time to turn this down or put your earphones in. Or if you're offended by swearing, then I'm going to swear in a moment. Brené talks about what she refers to as an FFT. And the FFT stands for a fucking first time, okay? When we're doing anything new, anything for the first time, it's difficult. It's overwhelming. It's scary. And as Brené calls it, it's a fucking first time. So Brené says the first thing that we should do when we're in one of these states here is, first of all, we have to name it. We have to know, hang on, this video that's difficult for me because it's the first time. So many of the things that we do when we're doing for the first time are difficult. They bring up a level of anxiety, of stress in us. And Brené goes on to say the mere fact that we name it actually helps to dissipate a level of that stress. The second thing that we need to do with regards to that too is that we need to, she says it a little bit differently, but we need to not catastrophize. Remember, it's just video. It's just the video that's difficult for you. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean that you can't learn any new skills. It's just that little section in there that at the moment, with time, you'll get better at it. The third thing that she talks about also is reset your expectations. I laughed about this with one of my coaching clients who was telling me that she'd tried some video and it hadn't worked, and it turned out that she'd made 2 videos. That's it, you know. You need more than that. I often, and I've been thinking about a lot recently, just how difficult it was for me when I was learning to drive the car, how uncoordinated I felt at the time, you know, coming up to a corner, having to indicate, change down gears, put the brake on, and if I needed the windscreen wipers at the same time. I legitimately considered in the early days that I might be one of those people who just couldn't drive a car. Now, my driving record would say that I can drive a car. I'm okay at doing it. I'm trying to think if I've had any accidents. Probably none that were my fault. That's my story. I'm sticking with it anyway. But of course, I learned to drive a car. I think you know where I'm going with this too. So if you're hiding behind the introvert, then I've given you 3 types of videos, but I want you to maybe consider that maybe the introvert thing is just an excuse that you're using to protect yourself from being seen, from being visible out there also. And if that's the case, that's okay too. Remind yourself that it's difficult because it's a first time, okay? Second of all, just remember, it's just video. It doesn't mean anything else. It's not a reflection of who you are. It's just videos are difficult for many of us to do in the early stages there too. And reset your expectations. That's the third thing. I don't know if I actually said it before there too. It'll take time to get really good at video. I've been at this for a long time. I mentioned that beforehand. I continue to get better at it each and every year. Gang, that's enough speaking from me. I've shared 3 great videos for you introverts and the extroverts too. You extroverted guys and gals, you could make these as well. And if you're having a difficult time doing anything new, think about Breno Brown's FFT. And then also, remember, the show was brought to you by me. Head on over to adiomedia.com/attraction, and then you can download this guide here where I go through 100 patient attracting video ideas that'll help you build goodwill and expertise and authority in your community. Gang, as always, thanks for all that you do. Keep saving lives. See you real soon. Bye. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.